There are people paying $50 an hour for a friend. Yeah.
I kind of get it. You want to make friends? Do the same exact thing every single day with somebody next to you, regularity. So get a job. Easiest way, right?
Right.
But it was built into childhood. It is not built into adulthood. And it's harder with remote work. And so would I pay $50 an hour for that? Maybe I would.
Welcome to IdeaDrop. We made this show to help break molds, from the cringy business of artificially impregnating cows to the straight-laced interior design hustle. People need to know what their options are, and we are here to be guidance counselors. If this is Idea High School, we're here to show you there are 6 million ways to make money and 12 of them are yours. Let's get into it.
Bro, this is crazy. I met a person that would artificially not impregnate cows, but she worked with cow embryos, and she did GMOs. Like, she did it, so I met her on the subway in Poland, and I was like, what do you do for the living? Because I didn't speak Polish, and I needed help, and so I asked a nice person. She's like, well, I'm a scientist, and I work with GMOs, and most people hate that, but I'm trying to find ways to save the world, and so what I do is I edit cow DNA in the cell, like, I don't know. It's real. Yeah, it was super complicated. And I was like, this is interesting. And she's like, yeah, it's not all bad. It's like, actually, we're trying to solve things like cancer and like really bad stuff. It was the most interesting.
Like cow cancer?
I don't know.
Like
they're like, I imagine
cancer.
they're trying there so then they can adapt that to like human cells at some point in the future. I don't know. But it is interesting stuff. Now, it's demonized right now, but let me remind you that before there was chemistry, there was alchemy, right? And it was all religiousized and all weird. But once they said, hey, let's think about this stuff and let's try to make it scientific, then all these breakthroughs came. So I think
Progress
it's pretty interesting.
starts in a weird way.
I know. That was a good time.
I have a list of some businesses I would like to know if you would like to get into. I found these on a quick Google here. Would you get paid to stand in line at the DMV?
No, I would not do it, but I would pay for somebody to do that. For sure, I would.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm a buyer. Yep.
I hate that.
There are people who are paying to wait in government lines, and there are people who are happy to take their mony.
No, that makes total sense.
Would you sell
Can
your
they do
eggs?
everything end to end? Oh,
End to end? No, they can't. No, they can't do it all for you. They just wait in line, and then they text you and like, okay, they're ready for you. 5-minute warning.
Lame. You could do power.
So
of
it saves
attorney.
you the hour. Yeah, you can do power of attorney. That's a
Digital
different
power
business.
of attorney, like every now and again, like a quick 20-minute power of attorney thing.
Harder business though. It's easier to be like, dude, I stand in line for you, and then we just swap out when I get there.
Yeah, but imagine if like Joe Biden needs
it.
to renew his license. I'm pretty sure he's not going to the DMV, right? So somebody's doing something
he's
for
not
him.
your customer. Yeah, okay. Would you sell your eggs?
Who's getting them? What are they using it for?
To grow a human.
So I give them my eggs. How do I give it to them?
So obviously this is not very difficult for men, but it is really difficult for women. So there are a lot less eggs than there are sperms, little spermies, right? So the process, if you don't have good enough eggs to grow a baby, the process is really in depth and detailed. But you can get $5,000 for selling your eggs, and then you have to sign like a waiver that's like, I will never hunt down the child. I don't even get to know if I have a child in the world.
Is that part of the game? You hunt them down, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna hunt you down now. That's terrible.
You're like, I have a half child out there somewhere, and it's a whole thing. So they pay you to offset kind of basically emotional damage too, and it's invasive, but you get $5,000
if they take it, or just $5,000 straight.
No.
Like, do I have
to the procedure to get eggs sucked out of you with a little mini vac?
Is this for a girl or a guy? Because I think it's probably
eggs,
just for a girl. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that later, son.
As a guy,
sell
I don't
your
think I would do it.
friendship. No, not my favorite jam. Next one on the list is sell your friendship. There are people paying $50 an hour for a friend.
Oh, that's sad.
Yep.
I'm saddened by that.
Yeah.
I kind of get it. It's okay. You remember growing up, friendship's really easy to do when you're growing up because it's just built into life around you. You want to make friends, do the same exact thing every single day with somebody next to you, regularity. So get a job, easiest way, right?
Right.
But it was built into childhood. It is not built into adulthood, and it's harder with remote work. And so, would I pay $50 an hour for that? Maybe I would. Maybe I would.
No, would you be someone's friend for $50 an hour? Maybe on the provider end.
Yeah, I'd probably do that.
Bridesmaid for hire. That's next on the
do
list.
That.
People are renting bridesmaids for the day. Look, I'm well loved. I don't know what. Oh, these are so cringe. I get it too.
Where'd you get that? That's
this
hilarious.
is my favorite. Lice removal technician. No, there's
Zero.
you don't have to go get licensed.
No,
you just have to go get lice. You wouldn't do that?
No,
I would
you?
do that. You can make such good money. Yeah.
How
much? So we actually had to be customers of this service, unfortunately, this summer. Yep. I had, out of the 7 of us, 5 had lice. I was not one of them. And we had to go to Sacramento and go to a lice removal clinic. And there's a whole
was it that
certain
bad?
kind of yeah, it was.
But growing up, I remember my mom would I actually never got it, but I remember seeing it at school. It would just be like, it's just painstaking. You just go one by one and slow. After
we tried to do that ourselves for 3 months, and 3 months later, they kept coming back. So we kept
Fumigate
thinking
your whole
we got
house.
it done. Yep,
we
had
get
to
your
do
whole house with the
everything.
kids in there.
Okay. Parenting advice is not your shtick.
Well.
Yeah, but I do think this is, I kind of wanted to have a chat around some of these businesses that already exist in a physical location that you can go and pay for that service. But some of these are very doable on the road. For example, the blood people, what do they call the blood people who draw?
Phlebotomist.
Phlebotomists. Yeah, so like when you get certain insurances, they send a phlebotomist to your door, like in your house, and you can just sit and get a blood draw, and they'll, verify you qualify for life insurance. So like that was about $100 for the person to come do it, and it took them 20 minutes, include drive time in there. So if they do 5 a day, which would be pretty easy, they're kind of working a half-time job. And they're getting $500
Are you thinking you start a phlebotomy business, or are you just saying, hey, how would it be being a phlebotomist, like taking the job?
Well, I mean, both are valid options, right? It just depends on if you want to deal with the growth side of it, getting the customers. But there's all kinds of opportunities for people who can just do a simple, relatively simple craft like that, and then they can start they can start their own consultancy out of that after they have that experience. So, if I was going to start that, I would go do it for somebody first, but then go make some phone calls and get direct, because it stands to reason, like if the insurance company's paying this agency for phlebotomy, and they might spend $130, and then they pay $80 to the, the phlebotomist or whatever they have to pay. They're keeping a spread. You can go take that business direct and start with just discounting it. Like, hey, you pay them $130, pay me $105. And
I think you could do this. You could even just approach doctors and say, hey, send your clients to us. I'll give you a cut, and I'll go to the client.
You can't give cuts to doctors for that. That's illegal. But you can do other types of networking. So you can go to the insurance companies, right? That's the main source of phlebotomy at home. But this also applies to the lice technician. Like, I feel like, why did I have to drive to Sacramento? There was nobody in Redding that could have just come to my house and done the whole treatment. I mean, it's just know-how, and it's just hours in a chair. We can set up a clean environment in our kitchen, and you can just spend the next 3 hours doing this for us. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of other businesses that can do the same thing. Like, it's kind of dumb to go in somewhere to sit in the chair. I hate the barbershop model. I know other people love it, but I'm like, why not come to my house? I will pay you double. I will pay twice. I don't want to leave my house. I'm a percentage of the market. There are people out there like me, and I don't want to go into your barbershop.
Yeah, it's like there's like a CNA on hire kind of thing, but not quite a CNA, not quite a nurse, not quite a this. It's just all that weird middle stuff. Like, Lice. I hate this business. There's no way in hell I would ever do it, but I would subscribe to this business. I would use it. I will say that.
I do like just the home services models. It's a referral based model. So I have a friend who is making some cold calls for us and he is doing it because that's what he used to do for work, but he recently started a pressure washing business. So nice big houses, big neighborhoods. They need cobwebs knocked down and red dirt, sprayed off of the bottoms of the stucco, and the sidewalks get cleaned out. You get the good edges. It's very cost effective to buy the gear, right? And then you pay it off in 2 or 3 jobs. And so he just networks with handshakes and says, yeah, I do a better job than the other options. And it really is just referral business. So I like those ones that you can just do a thing that you are good at and just hustle it. 2 years later, you're going to have a book of business that's very robust. You just got to put in the time. Be your own boss. Work.
Honestly, I actually love those grunt businesses. Okay, that's fair. I've got a few business ideas for you, my friend.
Lay it on me.
Lay it on you. Okay, this I want you to tell me if you think this is possible. And it kind of lines up with that. So I think that there should be an attachment for drills that turns it into a blower. So it'll just blow air really fast at the speed of your drill. Do you think it would work?
Why?
What do you mean why? It's like an air compressor, but it's portable.
I don't think it can output the PSI of an air compressor, but I think you can pump up. You could pump up like inflatable toys. Is that what you're thinking? For that use case,
anything like that.
An attachment for inflatables to your drill.
I wouldn't necessarily attach for. Yeah. Well, okay, yeah, inflatables. I was thinking you could blow out your car if you got to do that. It's something that's
detailing
easy
jobs
and on the go. I would pay for this. Let's say it was $100, right?
Yeah,
and you use it every now and again. Let's say you're a carpenter or you do something. You're doing cabinets.
I wouldn't buy it for $100, but yeah, I think there's a market for that product.
All right. That's idea.
I mean, I have compressors and blowers and things like that. They're all very cheap, but if you give me the efficiency of one attachment that fixes to my drill set, I like that.
It's the portability that sells it to me, honestly.
Yeah.
You could even make it
take it to the beach.
You could even make it vacuum size, so it reverses it with the you reverse it on a drill, and then you could put a little what do they call them?
Yeah, it might exist. This falls in that bucket of we probably should have Googled that first. But
yeah,
I think that's a good one. What else you got?
Okay. This is one that I thought of a long time ago, and I would happily pay for it. And then I heard about it on a different podcast, and I was like, yes, this needs to exist. But an MRI subscription business. I don't know if I have cancer, but I don't want to pay to know if I have cancer. But I would pay a once-a-year subscription, even if it was a decent amount of money, for my parents. Just like, hey, Mom, just go get scanned. And there are no doctors, no official readings. They can only tell you, hey, I don't know, but it does look funny. Maybe go get somebody who can officially read it to tell you. And then you go get the real one.
If they give you the scans, then you can take them to your doctor at your leisure.
Do whatever the hell you want.
Right?
Exactly.
I do like that.
I would pay subscription for this.
like that.
For sure. Plus, MRIs, I have a friend who works in one, and a lot of time he's just sitting there waiting for customers.
Now, can those go on the go? I know they have some mobile.
No way.
They do have them for your arm. Well, the whole body ones, but I know that they have them. Yeah. Anyways,
I think that would be very, very dangerous to do on the go because it's a high risk thing if there's any metal anywhere near it. So you'd have to deal with that.
I see.
You know what I mean? So you just have to be careful.
I heard about this guy who got smashed in the MRI tube when the magnet reversed, and there was like a bag with something metallic put on the gurney, and then when the MRI
what happened?
It smashed the dude's balls and pushed him into the. He lived, but it
did his balls live?
I didn't ask that level of detail. Anyways, yeah, you're right. MRI technology is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So so if I'm paying what $400 for the year, what do I get? Because it can't be too expensive or I'm not going to buy it. Okay.
Do it less.
Couple
3
$100
scans per year. Or 1 scan per year for $200. Hell yeah, I'd pay that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the service keeps them on file. So like actually one of the big value adds there is we just have your record of this is what you used to look like. This is what you look like now. You can see the changes. That's a good point.
Right? Trajectory. Oh, yeah.
You can just see the changes. Like, oh, this wasn't here last year, right? I don't know what this is, but it wasn't here last year. I think my wife and I would feel safer if we had something like that. These,
absolutely.
In America, these types of services would do better. I know there's like some pay-as-you-go services, but for medical care, but it's the licensing and everything's crazy. So
yeah, I don't know if this would work really well with the universal healthcare system. However, it would definitely work well within the American system because I don't want to pay for my healthcare down the road if I can pay preventatively up front. You know, $10,000 now will save me $200,000 later.
Right.
Especially you being a single provider for your family, right? That's a big deal. Okay.
I also think with the like advent of wearables, so there's all kinds of new wearables that are getting new readings. So Apple Watches can get all kinds of blood readings, and there's new wearables coming out every year. That this is getting better and better and better. I wonder
if Apple Watch drawing blood on you every single time you wear it.
No, it actually uses light, and it can tell a lot from like basically shining really strong straight through the skin. Anyways, the service to analyze the things that could be issues, right? We're not diagnosing you. We're just saying, given if you share your data with us, our service tells you which things to follow up on with your doctor. Like just flagging from the 300 possible things that could be, go ask these 3 topics to your doctor. I think there's a play for a service aggregation like that. And then there's many wearables they could recommend.
Even just a general checkup service.
Symptoms
like we
reporting.
Have this. Yeah, something like that. And this would work. And you could actually go door to door. You could even do this with nursing homes and say, hey, would you like to opt in? And you could probably get that built through a lot of insurance things. But it'd be complicated. It'd be worth it. I would pay for it for my parents and maybe even me,
Yeah, I think if I got a text like every week, said, how's your head feeling? How are your knees doing? And I could self-report to an automated system like symptoms. And then there was a service that was kind of taking all of my answers and saying, okay, sounds like you may have degenerating knees faster than people your age, right? Go get that checked out. It's just go get that checked out.
That's fair. Did you hear about there's a guy who measured everything, I think for 10 years. He measured like every single thing, every meal, every bowel movement, every little tiny detail of his life. And at the end of 10 years, he said, this is really fun. I want to look up what his name is, but he said, it's not worth it. It's way too much work. Don't do it. It's a total piece of trash.
I should have lived that decade instead of
I mean, he's inputting information an hour a day or something like that. That doesn't sound
Have you ever been in a job where you feel that way? You're like, I'm reporting so much that I'm not working. I'm not doing the work.
Dude.
I'm just reporting to you the work that you want me to be doing.
It's so, I mean, in general, beginning CRM work always feels like that. You're like, why am I doing this? Like, these are just people I can text and keep up with. But then once you have 1,000 people in your CRM, then you need to do it. I see this often with anybody in the medical field. It's so sad. It's depressing. It's like they're experts and they should be doing what they're good at, but they have to spend half their day inputting information just to keep everything going the right way. I don't really know why.
I'm talking to a guy about acquiring. So he asked us if we want to buy a small SaaS business that basically has no revenue, right? So it's intended for SaaS revenue, but they used this medical PDF reader for their own company, and now they'd like to sell it. But the way they built it was as if they were going to make a SaaS business, and they never did. So they never got around to making the extra features that actually other medical companies can use. But it's essentially PDF searching and filtering, right? Which PDFs are really annoying. This kind of technology exists. It's very common in other industries. But law and medical are way behind on technology. So they're like, we just need this, and we need it to be very custom for our uses and in our workflow. So I'm curious if you think, I don't know, let's say I could do a deal with these guys to where we didn't pay anything for the tool for the first 6 months while we went and figured out if there was a market for it, right? Because they just basically don't want to go sell and market this thing. And their claim is, but you guys are better at this than us. Do you think I could hit up hospitals or medical practices?
It just reads PDFs. Hospitals are tricky
because it searches and filters PDFs and then makes it easy for them to like store, a few clicks. I think you can store what you found. Like, oh, we found this excerpt in this record or this legal jargon document. It flags things like that.
I think it would be a really
I don't know
sell.
It well enough. Yeah, it seems like it's hard to get in the front door because you don't know their internal processes. You'd have to go into this whole consultative, like, how do you guys do it? This makes your workflow better, but which workflow, right? I don't like ambiguous businesses.
Okay, I know a guy who's trying to break into the medical industry, and he's dealing with kind of what you're dealing with. Here's the issue. Obviously, these are huge conglomerates, mostly, right? So you're not trying to break into a hospital. You're trying to break into a fleet of hospitals. And so in order to do that, you have to get widespread adoption.
Rules and policies.
Tons of rules and policies. But what you could do is you can pitch it to a board and say, will you partner with me on my product? And so then they will take a huge cut, but then once it's already widely adopted,
and they'll advise on the product itself. It needs to be
these things. They won't even advise. They'll just freaking use it. They'll say, oh, absolutely, this will go in all of our hospitals. Boom. So you just made several millions of dollars, but a lot less than you could have. Yeah, I know. But that is the only thing I would do.
You might have found the only way to make this deal work. Yeah, because I don't want to go educate myself on the space.
Just pitch it, take the small percentage that you'll get, and then see if they adopt it. If they don't adopt it, then you just wasted only about a week of work, maybe a lot more than that. But if you can get any interest.
If I can find somebody who's an expert, who's a decision maker, to take equity in this thing, then they become your access to getting it distributed.
I can talk to me after this. I could probably connect you with at least the email of saying, hey, this is a product and we want to pitch it and share it with you. And if there's interest, that might be the right move.
Okay. All right.
Could be
I like it.
Quick cash.
Okay, what else you got?
So here's a funny thing. You're talking about hospitals. So about 3 years ago, I almost got hired, got offered a job. I turned it down, and I kicked myself often for turning it down because it was a lot of money 3 years ago. And my only job was to go into hospitals and raise their happiness, and so that the reviews would go up, and so that they would get grants from the government. And so I thought there could be a service. Yeah, that's it. Like
a happiness upper. You just go in and you just talk and smile. You handshake and kiss babies. What do you like?
They were like, do whatever you think we need to do. Do we need to do what? Do we need to do parties at night? Do we need to install acoustic treatment so it's a little bit quieter in the corridors? How do we make the general happiness of this hospital go up 2 points, so that way we get access to millions of dollars of grants from the government. And I think
you have done the weirdest things.
Yeah, I regret not doing that one, man. That would have been so much fun. But yeah, they literally, we don't care. We don't care how it gets done, because if we spend $100,000 on you, then we make $10 million. And so you could go into hospitals and say, hey, this is what we do. We raise your ratings, just X amount of points, and we're guaranteed. If we can't raise it X amount of points, then you get, half your money back or whatever it is. I think it would work, and I think hospitals would pay for it. I don't know how I would market it.
So you'd have to know the grants that they're on the verge of almost getting, and you'd have to have a way to target the hospitals that are just under the line. So you're catching them at, like, they're trying to get over the line for that grant. They know that grant exists, because you don't want to go be the education engine that has to teach them all that stuff. You'll never change people. But I'm a big believer in you can change things like 1 step, 1 degree. You can change things 10 or 15% from the way they are. Don't try to convince people of doing 180s on their job. Any business that requires you to, like, convince a decision maker to change their habits is a terrible business. But if you can change one painful part and they're just moving towards 5%, then you can start, give an inch, take a mile thing. You can get them to that 180 over 5 years, a decade.
I think it would work. I think it would be fun too. Alrighty, we're just cruising through the ideas today. I kind of like it. Did I tell you about no, I hate that idea.
Have I told you lately?
You don't tell me you love me enough.
That I love you.
You need to do it more often. Okay, have you ever been to a coffee shop and you order a coffee, or you order a tea, rather, and you get to your tea and you start drinking it, and now there's a bunch of bits of tea in your mouth, and you're so annoyed because they gave you the nice fancy loose leaf tea, but now it's in your freaking teeth. And
yeah, I do not like loose leaf tea for that reason. Yeah, I don't want
exactly, right?
my tea.
It would be so easy just to put a tiny filter on the lids. So you should change the lids so they have like a literally 2 centimeter by 4 centimeter filter. That's it. That's all you need. Very cheap, very effective.
I see. A filter at the mouthpiece.
At the mouthpiece. That's it.
Interesting. Wow. I think that's a nice addition to the lids.
And you could go into coffee. So if you could figure out a way to do it, you could probably do it with some sort of adhesive or something like that. But you just start at one coffee shop and then go to the next. Literally go to a coffee shop and say, hey, I know you order these on bulk, and they probably cost you 25 cents a lid or 10 cents a lid or something like that. Well, we want to offer you these for the same price, and you're going to get this with it. And then they like it, and then you go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. Eventually, it'll snowball.
Yeah,
that would be a door-to-door.
Probably building it into the lid is going to be a better business long term. And low margin stuff like that is such a difficult journey to tackle. So they're not my favorite businesses, but they can go. They can get locked in contracts pretty well. So if you positioned it, if you're going to build this from scratch, try to get the patent on that lid, right? Built-in tea filter patent, because that's probably doable. And then go to some of the big tea chains and say, hey, I'd like to work with you and get your lids, converted to this for your cups specifically. That way they're contributing some cash in the R&D to get them. And then you end up at a price per lid. My father-in-law runs the company that does all of Adidas shoe boxes in Asia, in Southeast Asia. So I learned a lot about those. I mean, it's just millions, and I think it's hundreds of millions of boxes a year that they're doing, but they're making pennies per box, right? And they make these tiny optimizations that is going to go into 100 million units. And it's like a whole engineering practice to optimize for that scale. I think this lid play is similar to that. Like, you're going to have to find that engineer that just is going to nail quality at 100 million pieces.
I'm curious. So you know him well, I'm sure. If they ever have somebody says, hey, we could be using this piece of paper instead of this piece of paper in the product, and you'll save, 2 cents, and that obviously compounds to be a massive number. Do they ever say, awesome, that's a great idea, all right, get out of here, I'm going to go do it myself? Or do they say, awesome, your idea, come on board, let's make this happen? How does it work? Because I'm always afraid of pitching.
It's not ideas. It's there's a whole process. Like, there's a whole team of people that goes through a design process, mock-ups. They print some test units, but mostly they're in the customer service business. Like they get requests. Can you do this differently? Can you make these flaps fold differently? Can you make these flaps thicker, therefore making the box stronger? And then they go do some testing, and they come back and say, hey, that thickness added too much cost or weight, or it changed the size dimension. So now when we put these all in a container, it doesn't fit in the container anymore. So we recommend this alternative solution. So they kind of like test and then recommend before something goes into massively scaled production. So I wouldn't be too concerned about somebody taking your ideas if it's a patentable idea. If you're the right crazy kind of entrepreneur that wants to risk 15 grand before you have a drop of revenue. I'm not that guy, but I know a lot of other people like to collect patents and sit on them. I do think your cup filter could be patented. Now, interesting tidbit. If we release this episode, which we are, it can no longer be patented by somebody who's not you, because you have the first, description of it for that
Bro,
use case.
if we wanted to like go down that road, there are, I mean, okay, think of it by this point. How many ideas have we thrown out there?
Well, it doesn't mean that we get the patents. That's not what I'm saying. But it just means no one else can patent it, because you've released it publicly with a timestamp. Yeah,
Talk about the most exhausting idea on earth. I do not want to do any of that fighting. Still, somebody go take it and just do it. But we could go down that road if we really wanted to.
No. No, they can't. Yeah, right. So patents are dumb, man. If you invented something, I don't think that. I get we're trying to incentivize creation by making it safe to invent and create, but I think we have enough innovation already, even if you were to set aside the patent races. Like, I think that demand-driven innovation is enough. I don't think we need the entrepreneurs going to be safe for the next 20 years. But
yes and no. Monopolies exist for reasons, and they have the ability to snowball smaller businesses if they have innovations. Like, that's why we always say don't build a feature app, just wait for Apple to take it and just find a different idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I get the security behind it. It snowballs too fast, though. I would much rather prefer making it more of an NFT thing. But anyway, that's what that goes to say. You ready for this?
Dude.
Okay, I'm going to give you two more ideas. Two more ideas for you. I think with the advent of AI and deep fake technology, I think you and I could start a business right now, and it's just digital insurance for your for your likeness. And people just pay us per month, and then if they say, "Hey, we saw a fake version of my face on this website, go get it taken down," and we just work at getting it taken down. So let's say we charge $14 a month, and we just collect signups.
Kind of assurance instead of insurance. We're not cutting them a check if they get ripped off. You're saying we're going to go after the people.
Yeah.
We're going to build out the tech sleuthing team we need to go basically hack or
identity theft
into.
Insurance, but for the digital age.
Yeah.
And people would just be like, I don't know, is this an issue? And it'll be an issue for some people.
Yeah,
for
sell
sure
it to like
not for
growing
you and me, maybe.
influencers, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. I do think we're going to see the day where somebody wants to run for public office, and they are going to say that was deep faked and it wasn't. I do think that's coming. Like 10 years ago, you said this, we have it on film. And then they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I got ripped off. My competitors are doing cutthroat tactics. I'm sure this is going to start making
that already happens. There are certain politicians that, 4 years ago, the phrase fake news was coined, it's been used before, but it was just like anything that didn't agree with, if anything didn't age well, you'd say, nah, it's fake news, and you just move on. News. And nobody can fight with you on that. You're like, no, it's not. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Right. It's like a third grade argument, and I hate it, but it works.
Is that technically gaslighting? Is that how we use that word?
Yeah, it's gaslighting. Exactly, gaslighting.
You're just like, no, you're crazy. No, you're crazy.
Basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
facts don't matter. We're in the post. My father-in-law says we're in a post-truth era. It no longer matters what the truth is.
No, I agree. No, that's the funny thing about truth. Truth is a pesky thing because truth follows your opinion and thoughts and feelings. So you will see what you believe to be true, and you'll find the thing. Even if you're not trying, it'll just naturally agree with you. So if you're a fearmonger, it's going to find you. And then, with the Trump campaign, I think it was Trump's nephew. He was a genius with predictive analytics, and so he targeted a lot of people and said, okay, you like this, so I'm going to put this type of media in front of you so that you tend to think this way about this and that way about that. So facts do not tell you the truth. Facts do care about your opinions, and you can't say anything otherwise, or I hate you. But it works. It totally works,
dude.
Actually,
I'm in this community called Blind, where people who work for Facebook, Amazon, FANG, right? Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, FANG. They self-report their compensation and their problems and their drama, but it's all anonymous. So they say, my total comp is this, and here's my drama. Here's my manager put me on this PIP. Should I be concerned? Here's some things happening on my team. Or, hey, with the layoffs going, I'm nervous about XYZ. How's the compensation at Twitter? Should I try to go get a job there? And oh my gosh, it's fascinating. But I have learned that there is a bubble of rich people that are not entrepreneurs and they're not bankers. They're just software engineers at FANG. And they have a little worldview that is so concerned with its own world, its own bubble, and they have no attachment to reality. So these people are making $350K, they're making $450K, they're making $750K a year, and they're writing code.
They're probably replaceable. It's more about they're integrated so deeply that it's
hence the drama. They're very anxious about their politics, but it's just been Moneyball. These engineers they're good, right? You don't make that much money without being good, but there's a lot of good people out there making $75K, right? There's a lot of good people out there making $120K. To complain about your compensation, which is a common thing I notice on there when they're making $300K a year plus.
They really complain about $300K a year.
They really complain. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Or they'll be like, it's not fair the way that my role works at Microsoft. I saw this one this week. My role at Microsoft only pays $280, and at Meta, the same role makes $370. I feel like I'm getting screwed. What do I tell my boss? And it is just, wow. Talk about first world problems. I feel like we deal with a huge range of people's incomes. So like somebody is bankrupt to somebody's, making multi-millions a year. And there's this whole entrepreneurial range, but you don't see complaining about your compensation in kind of our tribe. You see, I want to make more money. This is the hard work I'm going to put in. Does anybody have any thoughts?
That's the better thing. Actually, within the world that you and I live in, I like it so much better because of that. If I'm like, I need to make more money, I need to make $10,000 more a month. That's how I generally think. I go figure out a way to make $10,000 more a month.
Right.
Or charge more for what I'm already doing. Doesn't matter, but I'm not going to be like, they're not paying me a much. It's kind of a shitty way to live. Also, you're living in fear because you're so replaceable.
Right. I do know. So I met an Instagram engineer and a Google engineer who moved to Reading. And we went out to lunch and I just got to know him a little bit. They moved into real estate. So now he's actually on our TikTok. If you log into our IdeaDrop TikTok, you will see this guy pop up talking about Airbnb deals now. In the last 2 years, he went from Google engineer who's bored to Mr. TikTok, Airbnb influencer dude. And I watched his journey convert from the bored, I make way too much money doing this, but where does it go? Where does it end? I just pad my 401k and then I live out the next 20 years of my life being a slave to Google? Or do I go do something interesting and travel and, have my own opinions? And he took that journey. So I'm sure he still makes less than he used to, but he's building up assets. So he might not have the cash equivalent, but now he's doing real estate deals and he's syndicating with investors. And it's a lot more. Is he a happier person? He's happy. Yeah. His name's Eric. Yeah. Yeah. He's happy.
Dude, I used to know a lot of people who worked in insurance and then a lot of people who were doctors over at the Mayo Clinic when I lived in Minneapolis, and every single time I talked to any of them across the board, they were like, I'm just so bored, but the money's too good,
Yeah.
and so I'm stuck. And they've built themselves these prisons, these glass walls of fake rules that they have to live by because they can't leave because they're used to making $200K, $100K, $300K a year, and they're not going to find that anywhere, which is true. But dude, you're going to be
it's a weird form of slavery. It's a slavery
it's
of your
slavery.
mind.
It's going to be a 20-year slavery. They're going to get to the end of their life, and they're going to be like, "Hey, kids, go follow your dreams because we didn't, and we're pretty bored." And they'll go on a cruise once a year and be really happy about it, and they'll talk about how their nice new truck is so enjoyable to drive to their slavery job, which is awful. But
right. I have upgraded the 12 minutes in my truck time from cloth to leather.
You upgraded your prison. Your prison is better. You have better food, but you're still stuck.
I know.
That's all it is.
It's still your daily choices. I like to measure my life by what I'm doing in the middle of a Tuesday. And I ask people that question when I'm meeting them for the first time. So it's 2 p.m. on Tuesday. What are you doing? Instead of what do you do for work? Where are you? It's 2 p.m. on Tuesday. And I like to think about mine's variable. I actually do different things every single Tuesday afternoon. I have some consistency, but I can change it too. It's magic. It's scary as hell.
Well, Kendall, we talked about this last time. Do you think you're more or less stressed than the average person? Average employee, worker, somebody at your age.
I'm probably more stressed.
More stressed. Do you think in 10 years? Oh. Yeah, you're not as bored, that's for sure.
I mean, I'm super happy consistently, and I have been, but anxiety is, stress and fear of the future, right? That's what anxiety generally is. It's a fear of the future. I always am worried about what could happen or might happen. But those are also the problems that I work on. So that's kind of how my work goes. I'm solving
Dude, you know this shitty thing? That exact thing. I think I've just built up a really good threshold of it. You've helped with that as well. Because the dramatic swings, I remember in my early 20s, if I lost $10,000, oh my gosh, it would wreck me. But now I'm like, here we go again. Let's go. Let's find the next thing. Let's figure this out. It's just now part of this roller coaster of life that I've become too familiar with, which I'm glad I'm blonde because it shows the gray hair less.
The blonde. I certainly think that is the trade-off. I don't have safety nets to fall back on, but I have autonomy. So what's that worth to you?
It's worth a lot. Okay, so of the ideas that we've talked about, which one's your favorite one? Which one, if you wanted to start a business this week, what would you do?
I'm in for the lice removal at the house.
Oh, I hate that
I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to charge you $200, and I'm going to treat everybody, check everybody, and I'm going to give you a DIY kit for when I leave on how to maintain it. If I need to come back, you just hire me again. And so when lice breakouts go through, you are just going to make bank house to house to house to house. And then you just take off the winters.
Oh, I hate that.
You just work really hard in spring and summer.
I disagree with that. But I appreciate that you want to do it. You have a higher threshold for gross. I don't. I really don't. And I used to deal with it all the time. I've had the worst jobs. I've been a CNA. I've carried the dead bodies. I don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
It's gross to me.
Right. Yeah, you're over it. I was on a Zoom call scrubbing baby poop off of the hallway 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
And it just struck me I've got my AirPod Maxes on, I'm listening to somebody make a business point, and I'm scrubbing the floor, squirt, 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 and then scrub, scrub, scrub. And that's my life sometimes. It's just my life.
Poor, poor soul. Oh my gosh.
I love it.
My favorite one for today is I think that somebody should do a digital insurance company. It would be a great way to do it. You could just reach out to influencers, say, hey, $25 a month. I'm your insurance. If anybody tries to steal your likeness, I'm fighting it. We go after them.
Yeah.
And I'll try to find them. Oh, shit.
I love it. I love that idea. So I have a software engineering company, right? We do all kinds of technical, we make problems and then we solve the problems. We make problems, we solve the problems. Living in the technical behind the scenes infrastructure side of things is so often I don't know, but I can figure it out. That's very, very common in technology. And I think in what you're talking about, if you had a software agency, you might be able to just go straight to offering that service now, because a lot of what you're going to deal with is detective work at a technical level to try to track people down.
No, dude. Like, yes, but I think it's even easier. I think you find the website that has it, you message the person with court like documents saying, hey, we're going to ask you, you can either take it down or we're going to go proceed legal action. Nobody will proceed with legal action. It's just not worth it for anybody. And if they do, it's like, all right, let's go. It's not going to work, because after it's all done, you just sue them for the amount that they charged for the legal fees and all that stuff. And of course, it's a losing battle. They will lose easily.
Right. Yeah, they just got to take it down. But I guess I'm more coming from a place of, I'm sure some of those websites are not above board, and they're not businesses that are in America. So you're going to have a technical solution as well. So I agree with you. So there's a legal side, there's a technical side, and there's I've seen this for there are services that bury the skeletons in your closet. So even if you can't get them taken down, they
Can we
bury
talk about
it
this?
in SEO.
Can we talk about so I had a call. Kendall and I do fun things, and this guy knows that Kendall and I do fun things. Yeah, and he called me, and he's like, hey, can you make something disappear? I have something online that I need gone. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know. I actually don't know.
Tell us what it is, Dustin.
This person may or may not have been. I don't feel like I can.
Accused.
I don't think I can.
Okay.
He may or may not have been accused of something that is extremely, murder related, something like that. Something like that. And he's trying to figure out how to get it taken down online. And I'm
accused, not convicted. But
not convicted at all. Not even a little bit.
But these things exist. The accusations exist.
Yeah, accusations
online.
are out there, and he's trying to get it down because it wrecked his entire life. And so I'm on Indeed. No, but I'm not on Indeed. I'm on it's not Fiverr. What's the other one? Anyways, I'm Upwork, and I'm messaging these guys. I'm like, hey, can you do this backdoor stuff? Like, I've never hacked anything in my life, but I know somebody probably could. But then you just get really slippery on the legal side of it. Right. I don't know how to fix the problem for him. If anybody does, please message me.
Well, we were talking about, like, let's bury it in SEO, right? So we just make your other stuff so prevalent that this media search is going to be buried on, search result 2020. Like, there's going to be 2,000 positive results before they get to the sketchy article about you.
The problem is that's not exactly how SEO works. Like, those articles have to get a lot of clicks. They have to get a lot of traffic in order for it to work. Yeah, I know.
It would take time.
Newer doesn't quite
It's doable,
just do it
though.
on
There are
its own.
services that do this PR stuff, and they bury. There are PR agencies that specialize in this.
I would.
But they're more expensive than we would have charged, and they're better than we would have been. They're, that's a whole thing. But hey, this is fun. It's good to see you. I like your beanie. It's nice. Talking
Thanks.
to you,
It's
Dustin.
my wife's. She said you should wear it for your podcast, and I said, all right, I'm going to do it.
Do you take fashion advice from your wife often?
I mean, just simple stuff. I'm like, babe, does this look okay? That's it. Typically.
Yeah. No.
Anything she buys, I wear. I mean, she's naturally more inclined than I am.
I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt and a hat that my wife, pushed on me. And she doesn't like it when I tell people that. But the truth is, I'm a simple fellow, and I do not give a shit about how I look. But she does. And so I accept that if she's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, plus if somebody values something, you showing value in the thing that they do, it's a positive thing.
It's love. I love that she likes it. I don't have to have an opinion. I don't dislike it. It's fine.
Yeah. Also, fashion is funny because it gives you social credibility where you go. So if you go to court and you're wearing a suit, then you instantly are perceived as, okay, he's supposed to be here. He's one of us. But if you're wearing jeans and a T-shirt, then they're like, okay, this is funny. I can't take you seriously. It's just like this subconscious perceptions that happen. But and it's all like level to level. Where are you at? Are you at the beach? Don't wear a suit. That would make no sense, right? Anyways, my friend, you have a good day. When we're done with this call, we should just grab lunch is what we should do.
I would love to. Let's go eat.
Okay, let's do it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.